Good night, everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today, we're going to be talking about oophorectomy, right? I'm not sure if y'all are accustomed to hearing this term, and for those of you who are familiar with the word, then you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is my first story time, and it will be life before and after oophorectomy, right? So let's get straight into it, right? I'm gonna start by dating back to 2015, right? So in 2015, I left Jamaica and I went to St. Martin to live with my mom, right? And when I got there, I realized that my body was not behaving as it should. I realized changes in my body that I've never seen before. So you can imagine a young woman at the time seeing these changes happening and don't have no idea, no clue what your body is going through and what this thing is all about. So when I got there, I remember like my cycle was messed up, like really messed up. You know, every woman has a cycle, and once every month your body goes through things that it is supposed to go through. Well, with me, what I started realizing is that my body was going through that cycle like 3, maybe 4 times if I'm lucky per year, right? So I was like, oh my God, something is wrong with me. You know, I figured at that time something was really wrong with me, right? So I said to myself, I'm not gonna tell my mom, right? Because I don't want to be, you know, you're a teenager, you don't want to be judged for, you know, stuff that is happening to you, especially when you do not know what it is. So I said I wasn't telling my mom, and I didn't tell her whatsoever. At no point did I mention, look, this was happening to me and what should I do about it. I didn't, because I didn't want to be judged, and knowing my mother, I would have been judged, right? So you know, time passes and I left St. Martin to return to Jamaica because I didn't like it there as much as I thought I would. So I returned to Jamaica, and when I came back, I realized I was having those same issues that I was having there. Now I came to Jamaica, and while I was there, I went to a gynecologist. Now when I went to this gynecologist, I remember specifically he told me, like, look, you have what is called ovarian cyst, right? Now we all know what ovarian cyst is, or most women know what ovarian cyst is, right? So I did my ultrasounds, I did all the tests that I was asked to do. I did them, and he told me, look, you have ovarian cyst. So now I'm getting to understand what is going on with me, right? Long story short, after being told I have ovarian cyst, I realized that the changes in my body started to, you know, become more prominent, where in which you could see it, you could feel it, you know, it becomes too often, so it was easy to see, it was easy to look at and say, hey, this is happening, right? So what happened was, I got myself checked out, and I tried to seek out what ways can this thing be dealt with. No, I wasn't getting my cycle as often as I should, right? So they told me that they're going to put me on a contraceptive, and this contraceptive was supposed to help to regularize my cycle. I took it for a couple of months, maybe 5-6 months, and I realized it wasn't doing anything, but I was gaining weight. So sometimes I gain weight, sometimes I lose weight, and it was very uncomfortable for me because I don't like being fat, even though I am right now. I don't like being fat. So, you know, I said to myself, wow, this is not working. Anyway, I didn't try to do anything else, right? I knew I had the condition, and I didn't do anything else. So let's fast forward. When I became 18, I think, I moved back to Kingston because I was staying in Clarendon at the time. So I moved back to Kingston, and I was living with my aunt. Now, my aunt is a lecturer. She's hardly home. So, you know, it was just her mom, my cousins and stuff. We were there all the time. So, you know, if anything were to happen, I would always have somebody there to, you know, either go with me to the doctor or whatever the case may be. So when I became 18, I moved there, and then I stayed there for a while. But then about a year after, I moved to Portmore. When I moved to Portmore, I was living with my then fiance at the time, who is now my ex-fiance, just to make it clear, right? So I was living with him, and he realized that something was wrong with me. Like, he knew that, you know, the things that were happening to me weren't supposed to happen. So we went again. We went to another doctor. We did all these tests, hoping that, you know, something would have worked out, where we would met a specialist or something that could have treated or do something to stop what was happening, and that didn't happen. So I remember he said to me, he said, Tash, what are you going to do? I said, boy, I have no idea, because I've tried it all. I've been to so many places, and I don't know what is happening. And you know, we didn't know where to go from there. I ended up moving back to Kingston. And when I got there, I remember one morning vividly. I woke up. I went downstairs to make breakfast. When I went downstairs, my aunt was sitting downstairs, and I made a cup of tea, and I made a sandwich. I ate, and I went back up the stairs. When I went upstairs to take a shower, I remember when I stepped inside of the bathtub, I felt like I was unable to move, like I'm stuck. So I'm like, what is going on with me? You know, I did not know at that point in time that I was so sick, in terms of this thing has gone to another level, because I was thinking that, oh, polycystic ovaries, it wouldn't do much, but I had underlying issues, and it made it worse. So when I stepped into the bathtub, I realized I can't move, and I was in excruciating pain. When I tell you pain, I've never felt no pain that is anything as close to that pain I felt that morning. And when I tell you, not even when I was giving birth to my son, I never felt that sort of pain, right? But giving birth to my son, that's another issue. Let's continue with the story, right? So I called out, and my sister, who was upstairs in one of the bedrooms, she came inside the bathroom and she was like, Tash, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I can't move. And she said, what do you mean you can't move? I said, I can't move. You know what I mean? So she quickly grabbed the soap and the rag, and she soaped my skin, and she washed me off, and she called for help. And another cousin of mine came, and both of them took me out of the bathtub, and then they dried me and put on some clothes. Now I'm saying, oh my God, I can't move. I don't know what to do. Luckily, my aunt was downstairs getting ready to go to work. And I said, Aunt Tamara, I cannot move. I don't know what is going on with me. I can't feel anything from my waist down. So you can imagine how frightened we all must have been, because I've never experienced anything like this, and they have never seen anything like this. I remember now that my aunt said, organize yourself. I'm going to drop you off at the doctor, but I cannot stay with you, so your sister will have to stay with you. Now, I was at Andrews Memorial Hospital. I cannot forget, when I got there, they did several tests. They saw what the issue was. Now they're going to be telling me what is going on with me. What happened while I was in the bathroom is, your ovary is your reproductive system. You have one on the right, you have one on the left. Now, one of my ovaries, no blood, when I say no blood, I mean no blood at all, was flowing to and from the ovary, right? There was no blood that was going to it. So they said that it tort and detort. So it's like a twist. Tort and detort. So it was behaving like this. No blood was getting to the ovary itself. And it had been like that for a while. We didn't know, because I wasn't feeling any pain, and I had no idea what was going on with me. So it was torting and detorting, right? And what happened is, it was like that for so long that the ovary itself started to rot on the inside. So now the liquid or the fluid that was coming from the ovary was flowing inside my abdomen, and that was causing the reaction, the pain, and everything else that I was feeling. Now, I got a referral letter, and they say, take it to Kingston Public Hospital immediately. When I hear the word immediately, I'm like, no, this is a referral letter for a surgery, yeah? A surgery. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to do a surgery right now. I have to do a surgery right now. But at the time I was thinking about it, I'm saying to myself, how am I going to do this surgery and survive if this pain that I'm feeling is so much, right? I was focused on the pain so much that I couldn't even think about what was happening around me. Now, my aunt came and she picked me up from the hospital, because I was at St. Andrew's Memorial for a while, like all day. And so my aunt came and she picked me up and she took me to public. While I was at public, I was there waiting. I saw ambulance came in. I saw people with gunshot wound came in. I saw there was people who had swollen legs, all the things that you see or normally see in a hospital. That was happening that day. When I got there, I was in so much pain. I remember they wheeled me in a wheelchair. So I was sitting on the wheelchair waiting for assistance. I sat in that waiting area for about 3 hours. Nobody attended to me, even though we had the referral letter and we took it to the front counter, right? So luckily, a friend of mine who lived in my community, he was there. He was training at the hospital, and I saw him, and I say, I turned to my aunt and I say, Aunt Tamara, look, there is Ricky. And she said, Ricky, I remember she called, Ricky, come here. And Ricky came, and she was like, Ricky, we've been here for almost 4 hours now and no one has seen her. Could you take this letter to somebody so that we could get some assistance? No, Ricky said, okay, give him some time. Within 5 minutes he came back. I was shocked. Within 5 minutes he came back, or at least it felt like 5 minutes. I'm not even sure, but it felt like 5 minutes. He came back and he said, okay, I'm going to take her from you. No, think about it. You're sitting in that waiting area for such a long period of time, and you know, nobody to see you, nobody came and attended to you, nobody asked you anything. And he took me to the back. They saw the referral letter, and they said that oh, she has to go up to surgery immediately. I remember somebody wheeling me up to surgery. They took the elevator, we came out, went into the area, and I laid on a bed for about 30 minutes. And after that 30 minutes, because it was, I laid on the bed for about 30 minutes, yeah. And after that 30 minutes, I remember you know, some nurses came and they attended to me and they said, look, we're going to prep you for surgery, but before we prep you for surgery, we needed to sign these forms. So I'm like, what type of forms are they? They said they are consent forms, you know, stating that if anything went wrong or if anything was to go wrong within the surgery, then they would not be held responsible or accountable for any of it. No, I'm in so much pain. Yeah, my aunt couldn't come up with me on the ward. Nobody could. So I was there alone. I signed those papers so quickly. I remember I went into theater 1:15, and when they gave me the they gave me an injection, and you know, I'm believing, I want to believe that that injection was for the pain that I was feeling. But then when they gave me the drug to knock me out, I realized it took longer than it was supposed to. I remember the doctors watching their watch and they saying, but how is it the drug didn't start to work when they expected it to work? About like 2 minutes after, I felt my eyes getting heavy, real heavy, and I went to sleep. When I woke up, it was 3:30. So I stayed in theater for 2 hours and 45 minutes. It was 3:30 or somewhere thereabout, right? And or 3 hours and some, yeah, about 3 hours and something I was in theater for. And I remember the doctor, what's her name again? Her name is Dr. Anne, I think something of that sort. I can't remember, but I remember she said to me, your surgery is completed and you only have 3/4 of an ovary. So I laughed, and she said, why do you laugh? And I said, 3/4 of an ovary. And I turned to her and I said, would I be able to conceive? She said that it's highly unlikely. But if you were to, you would have to conceive within 2 years after the surgery. No. Initially, I didn't want any kids. That wasn't an issue for me, right? But then I stayed in the hospital for like 3 days, and on the day that I was leaving, I spoke to that same doctor and a junior doctor, and I remember I spoke to the junior doctor alone before I spoke to the head doctor, and the junior doctor said to me, look, I doubt you're going to have any kids, but if you do decide to have one, you need to do it within 2 years. No, that is something similar to what the head doctor had told me. I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you, for persons who are going through polycystic ovaries, fibroids, anything that has to do with your reproductive system, you need to take it seriously. You have to take it seriously. This can be a life and death situation for you, right? If I didn't have people around me at that time, when I went into that bathroom that morning, I would not have been here sitting down today telling you my story. When it comes on to your health, you have to make it priority. The things that you are putting in has to have beneficial factors that will help this system, your body. So guys, for anyone who has had a similar case to mine, and they tell you, look, you will not be able to conceive because you've had an oophorectomy. If you're a believer in Christ, and even for those who don't believe, you can and you will once you're willing to. Oophorectomy did what it did to me, and I'm living with 3/4 of an ovary, and I'm well. I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy with 3/4 of an ovary. So I'm saying this to say that do not let people discourage you. Some people have fibroids and they say, oh, doctors tell them that they can't have kids, they will never have kids. I was told that too. I did my surgery and my son came 3 years after I was told I will never be able to have kids. They told me conceiving too, but he came in 3 years, and I did not plan for him. We weren't prepared for him. His father and I, we weren't planning on having kids, but he came, and he is the best thing that has ever happened to me. This is my story, guys, and I will be telling you guys part 2 of this story of how I conceived, but this will be done in another video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being educated on certain issues. And don't forget, please guys, like, subscribe, click that notification bell. You don't want to miss Tashia's world, the journey that I've gone through, the things that I've overcome. And I will be talking to you guys about it because I want to inspire somebody who feel lost, who has no way, who think they have no way of getting out of a situation just because someone told you this will never happen. Do not listen to those persons. Have a great night. Bye-bye.